Hey, leaders. Have you ever wondered what it looks like when someone grows up in a school division, teaches there, leads there, and now helps guide its entire learning system? Today, we're diving into that journey and what it teaches us about long-term commitment to collaborative growth. Are you a leader who is navigating the nuances of leading collaborative response in your school or district? Are you unsure of what collaborative response is? Are you looking to understand the critical role leadership plays when establishing and refining a collaborative response approach?
Collaborative response began as a grassroots approach to focus on the needs of students through a framework of collaboration. That approach has grown to a movement that is training leadership and education.
Through the Leading Collaborative Response podcast, Kurtis and I share our own experiences of leading collaborative response and lessons learned as we continue to learn and gain insight through the experiences of working alongside others. We also have the opportunity to engage in conversations with school and divisional leaders implementing the framework in their own organizations.
We know great leaders build great teams because that is what every child deserves. Subscribe to the Leading Collaborative Response podcast and join the thousands of schools seeing success for students through intentional and focused collaborative efforts. Before we jump into the episode, remember to join our mailing list at jlinsiders.com. Every Saturday, we send out an exclusive video only to our mailing list, along with other templates, resources, videos, and more. We also share upcoming events and opportunities you may not hear about anywhere else. Go to jlinsiders.com to become part of the JL Insider community.
Welcome to another episode of Leading Collaborative Response. As always, I'm Lorna Hewson, co-founder and lead learner of Jigsaw Learning.
And I'm Kurtis Hewson. Today we are super excited to be joined by Katie Graham, Assistant Superintendent of Learning Services with Grasslands Public Schools. Katie has spent her entire career in Grasslands, starting as a teacher in a rural K-12 school where she taught everything from junior high social studies to elementary, then serving as vice principal and principal for nearly a decade before stepping into her current division leadership role in 2020. Her deep roots and leadership journey make her the perfect person to share insights on how collaborative response can truly grow across a system when relationships and shared purpose drive the work. So, Katie, great to have you on here today.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, you are the next member of the Grasslands team that we've been able to connect as we've had an episode with your superintendent, Scott, and one of the principals. We've had Sean and Nicole talking about some of the student support services. So to be able to connect with you now is fantastic.
Definitely your turn.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You please make sure to let Scott know that we just wanted to trial with him to see if it could work, and then really got to the people that we were most interested in chatting with.
Yeah, 100%. I'm so glad they broke you in.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Katie, we of course gave the little scripted introduction here for you, but we'd love for you to flesh that out. Tell us a little bit more about your journey, and we'd really love to hear what have been some of the experiences you've had that impact you as the leader you are today.
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up just on a ranch just outside of Brooks here. Grasslands is centered in Brooks, Alberta. So we're right down in the deep south of the province along the highway number 1. We're pretty famous for the smell in the area because we have that big packing plant. But it's a really wonderful community. It's very vibrant, very diverse. It's had a bit of an interesting history when I grew up here in Brooks. It was not very diverse at all.
Farm and ranch quiet. Mainly, right?
Yep, farming, ranching, and oil, and that was about it. And I went to what was at the time the Brooks School Division, and there were the Brooks School Division and the County School Division, and I was Brooks. Went to some of the schools here in town that are still here that I help lead now, which is kind of cool. And went away to university to become a psychologist and a singer-songwriter, as you do. Came
Yeah,
back
that's the perfect match, really.
100%. Oh yeah, I
Makes
had
good
great
sense.
10 out of 10. Yeah. Came back to begin my teaching career, 7 years later. And the whole town was completely different. And we had all of these cultures from around the planet that were now settling in Brooks, all these wonderful people and hundreds of languages, lots of different people from refugee backgrounds or different immigrant backgrounds that were now, members of our community. And it was just so different. And that was very challenging for the city of Brooks. But I actually ended up in Dutchess, Alberta as a half-time music teacher, which was interesting because I trained as a high school social studies specialist. And
Of course.
but it was a very different time when I started teaching, and you took the job you got.
Yeah.
And I was very grateful to take that job, and taught out in Dutchess and watched the schools in Brooks. And my minor was teaching English as a second language. So I was always very curious about what was going on in the classrooms in town, and working with my English as additional language students who were Low German Mennonite speaking as much as I could. Did that for about 5 years before becoming the vice principal in that same school, and then becoming the principal. And, that's when collaborative response kind of hit the radar in Grasslands. And we started to work with the first iteration. I think it was you, Kurtis, that came out and worked with us. Yeah, initially. And it just seemed like such a silver bullet and such a wonderful way to discuss our students. And was, so grateful to have that opportunity to lead my staff through that. And we started, color coding the kids and having the meetings and focusing on the yellow kids, and working through all those pieces about how do you get people to get past just talking about this one kid or this one family into that action piece. And we did that for a few years in my school. And then I will admit, we got a little bit distracted by concept-based curriculum, and then by a pandemic. And then I moved into a central office where, I had that great opportunity to take over the learning services position. And that came along with support staff, human resources, and teacher wellness, and all these other things that happen in a small school division. And so I was handed this massive job during a pandemic. And, so we contact traced for a few years, and we just kind of white knuckled it through like the rest of the province and the rest of the world. And when we started to come out of it, we started to notice that, every day we're getting a call for more EAs. Or we're getting a call that, this child is right off the rails and we're not quite sure what to do. Or, these teachers are beyond exhausted, and these support staff members are at their wits' end. And what do we do? And there's these new screens. We should maybe try screening here or screening there. And now, there's, oh, by the way, a brand new curriculum. Yeah. And it's all coming at once. And there was this sense of increasing complexity in our students and in our system, and what can we do about that? And once again, under the leadership of our brilliant superintendent, and I'm not just saying that because he's going to watch this, but he's a very, very thoughtful leader. Collaborative response came back as, this is something we really need to look at, because we're not just trying to fix a problem, we're trying to support a culture. We're trying to support a culture of wellness, and we're trying to support a culture of collaboration. And that's really the only way we're going to get through this. There is no silver bullet. That's, I think, what we all learned through things like the pandemic. And you learn that through things like curriculum implementation. And you certainly learn that when all of those things are happening at once. Yeah. And so that's kind of what led us to partnering with Jigsaw again, and then going all in at all levels of our system. And that's been our journey since, I think, 2021 now, together with Jigsaw. And it really has changed the way we approach pretty much everything in Grasslands. So for me as a leader, that's really kind of fine-tuned my sense of what are we bringing in? How are we doing it? and how are we sustaining things in this culture of collaboration.
You
So
know, Katie, I'm so thankful that you kind of sum up with that idea of a culture of collaboration, because I think when the work was it not I think I know when the work was first introduced, we didn't understand this as building a culture necessarily.
No.
It was identifying and responding to students. And I think that Grasslands as a school division didn't quite understand how this could be seen as an overarching mindset. Which no
right.
one at that point really
No,
did.
it was just about meetings in schools.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I know some schools just grabbed on and said, okay, this makes sense. Let's do it. Others said, yeah, I don't know. And it was kind of at different places around. I think in 2021, that's when it really became system work. And
Hmm.
this is the way we are just going to, and this is where, from our mind, it moved from a model
Yeah.
to a mindset of this is how we collaboratively respond to the challenges
Yeah.
and issues that we see before us, which our
Yeah.
students, our families, our each other, our system challenges. Like, think of it bigger than just bring a kid and let's problem solve.
Yeah, and I agree 100% because the problems that, well, problems, I wouldn't say problems, complexities, the things that we're tackling as a system are they're outside of the system, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. We're responding to things within our community. And I don't see that changing.
no.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's, I think it's heightened in a rural setting, like somewhere like Brooks or,
Mhm.
Lacombe or places like that. But I think probably even in CBE, Calgary Catholic, up in Edmonton and Metro, it doesn't matter. You're dealing with people, so you're dealing with society. And so that's going to take a system to do it right. You can't just, we are microcosms. And
Yeah,
so I think, and in order to deal with some of those things, like people have really intense things going on in their life, it takes a system. It's that old adage, right? It
yeah.
takes a village to raise a child. It's going to take a system to support a family and to
Mhm.
support a teacher and all of those things. So
Well, and
this
you,
is a wonderful way of doing it.
yeah, and you named Alberta locations and jurisdictions, but we've actually seen it, what you just described is happening in Iceland, is happening in
Yeah.
Australia, is
Yeah.
happening throughout
Yeah.
Canada, the United States. It's how do we respond as a system because the complexities they've grown.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's life.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Katie, you've had that experience of implementing collaborative response, and originally it was collaborative response model
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
principle. But what have been some of those more positive evolutions that you've seen that are critical to understand in moving toward creating that mindset?
We'll be right back to continue this episode. Have you ever wondered how to make your collaborative team meetings more productive, engaging, and impactful? We know that healthy, well structured collaborative team meetings are the key to driving innovation and addressing student needs. But there is one essential ingredient that determines their success: effective facilitation. That's where our online course, Facilitating Effective Collaborative Team Meetings, comes in. Designed and facilitated by myself, Kurtis Hewson, author of Collaborative Response and co-founder of Jigsaw Learning, this course gives you the tools, strategies, and structures to transform your team meetings from routine discussions into powerful problem-solving sessions. In this course, you'll learn what makes a collaborative team meeting different from traditional student meetings, the structural components needed for effective collaboration, practical facilitation strategies to maximize your team's impact. And the best part, it's self-paced, takes about 3 hours to complete, and you'll receive a certificate of completion to recognize your learning. Consider enrolling yourself or members of your team responsible for facilitating collaborative team meetings. If you're ready to lead collaborative meetings that actually drive change, enroll now. Access the course at jigsawlearning.ca/publications/courses. That's jigsawlearning.ca/publications/courses. Let's make every meeting count. And now back to our conversation.
So I think that, yeah, the biggest thing I saw as a principal, like I said, it was at the time the CRM was focused so much on just students, and that was a huge relief to my staff. Um, the ability to just, name the child, get it off their chest, move on. And as a principal, I really appreciated there was a structure to everything. I could schedule things. I love to schedule stuff. I love colors. I love tables. I love all of that organization stuff. And so I just got right in there.
It's why you and I have always connected so well, Katie.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And so we could just do all those things. And I think this probably is not uncommon. And I've seen it as a leader now at the division level. Sometimes you get stuck there. We're stuck on this kid. We're stuck on this key issue we can't get past. And so that's kind of where the trouble would arise for me as a leader. Implementing it in my school was that. The other tricky part for us as a principal was the time commitment, right? It was scheduling in time. And there are so many more resources now that you folks have at Jigsaw, for just because you've implemented and supported so many jurisdictions and systems. There's so many more ways to make this work for schools and for divisions now, which is amazing. Looking at it from a system leader level now, I think some of the most incredible positive things that we've been able to make work here would be just we were able to get all the schools on the same page. And so when we tackled it, working with both of you, we scheduled that time that's just for division leadership. And we didn't just pull in senior administration. And so when we have those meetings, we're pulling in basically any learning leader that works divisionally. And so that's myself, Scott, and now Nicole, who's moved into assistant superintendentship. But we also bring in our instructional coaches, which is, I think, a little bit different, perhaps. And our early learning coordinator, Erin Norrish, who those people have a different view, but it's also a division view. They're not evaluative in any way, shape, or form, but they are in classrooms working side by side with teachers. And so they're able to bring that perspective that maybe senior leadership doesn't always have. Right. And so they're able to do that. We also put in another layer that we ourselves modeled the collaborative response model with our admin council. And so every month when we have our admin meeting, we are working through the CRM with a CTM with those leaders. So I myself, being a former K-12 administrator, I run the K-12 collaborative team meeting. And so they come with their agenda filled out, or if it's been a really kind of crunch time, we give them 15 minutes to fill that out. Yeah. And then I facilitate the meeting and they bring their key issues. And so sometimes those key issues are assigned. We want them to discuss blank, or sometimes it's wide open and that's my chance to facilitate and draw those key issues out. So, yep, I probably do watch the video of Kurtis doing it before, so I know what I'm doing. But that's time for us to also gather some information. Yeah. And I find that very useful as a senior leader as well. We can all then take that back as senior admin and go, okay, what were the K-6s discussing? What were the K-9s and the colonies discussing? And what were the K-12s? Do we have some themes here? Like what's happening in our schools? That's also very valuable. Like it really, truly has penetrated. In terms of implementation, we also spent quite a bit of time with Lorna and Kurtis, talking about how was implementation going. And that got as granular as even color coding our different schools in terms of their implementation. And so in Grasslands, we run instructional leadership meetings where we meet with our admin 3 times a year. We make collaborative response and the implementation of collaborative response a key meeting item on each of those agendas. And we have set criteria, set questions, and we're asking questions and we're rating them on those criteria about how they're doing. And it's not in terms of doling out thou shalt, you are
Yeah,
not
you're not
meeting.
creating a report
It's
card.
not, absolutely not. It is really just, okay, as leaders, do we need to send more support? And sometimes
Yeah.
we have. So sometimes Lorna has gone in to do a little extra support to get a school up and running in an area. And what's really interesting about it is we can have schools who are knocking it out of the park in terms of processes and structures, but their data use might really need some support.
Yeah.
And so we're sending in support there on data use. So maybe that is, like I said, Lorna, or maybe it's myself as the person who manages the data for the division to go in and, help out with, well, they're working on literacy. The government screens aren't maybe giving them what they're looking for. But hey, there's a quick and dirty screen from core. So let's give them the core phonics or the maze or something like that. And now teachers have a data point to discuss in their meetings that's quick, fast, they can easily track. And
Yeah.
now we can go. So
It's been such an incredible journey in Grasslands. And I think that, one of the key elements that from when we started this work and when we first started working with you and to now within collaborative response is that key issue process. And you guys have really embraced that idea of how do we use that process in so many different ways. And I think,
right.
the early learning team are using that process and you as senior leadership are using that process and at the admin council you're using that process. It's just been an incredible transition or adopting that process in so many different ways. And it's so beautiful to see the common language and the common understanding across all your schools. That's been an incredible thing.
The part I really appreciate about that key issue process, and your team has been really instrumental in helping us understand that whether we're looking at key issues related to students, related to system, related to implementation, we can utilize this process that really honors there's a lot of expertise in this room. How do we
Mhm.
leverage it and capture it? Because I may be stuck, but a person that can help me get unstuck might be sitting two chairs away.
Hmm.
And,
Yes.
and the process really helps us to collectively bring that up. Or none of us may have a solution yet until we start talking, till we start brainstorming and engaging in that what if conversation. So I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot because I know that you're also intending potentially using this with an educational assistant audience as well,
Yes.
that collaborative
Yes.
team meeting. Do you want to just describe for people listening what you're envisioning that to potentially look like?
Yeah, I'm so excited. So, we have had requests for years from our support staff for some collaboration time. So, probably like a lot of divisions, you employ some amazing paraprofessional staff, and a lot of them are probably EAs who, come with varying degrees of expertise. So, you've got everything from foreign trained teachers down to very talented and very driven but perhaps not as experienced people from your community. I mean, some of
Yeah.
our EAs are 18 years old. They were
Yeah.
Yeah.
sitting in our high school classrooms a
Yeah.
couple months ago, but they're great, but they're fresh and they're dealing with some spices, some
Yeah.
Yeah.
spicy little ones. And so it's been an ask for, things like a well-developed mentorship program and lots of collaboration time. And the struggle has always been in a smaller center, who's going to run these things?
Yeah.
What does a program like that look like? What would even an afternoon of collaboration necessarily look like for our support staff, our paraprofessionals, in particular EAs? How do you organize something and give it a robust, well-developed, robust structure without it degrading into, a bit of a situation because it could be.
Yeah.
And so I thought a great idea would be something similar to what we're going to start doing with our new teacher mentorship, would be, which I can talk about in a moment as
We
well,
would
but would
love
be
to hear that.
would be using the collaborative response model, in particular the CTM, to run through that with our paraprofessionals, with our EAs. And so right now we're in the context of the teacher strike. And so you lovely folks have put together some professional learning. And if you are watching this and you want some great learning for your EAs, you talk to Kurtis and Lorna because it's great. So we'll be doing that learning with our EAs in a flipped classroom model. They'll do the 3-hour EA course, which gives them a run through of the collaborative response model, the different layers, all those things, and then their expectation if they are to attend as a paraprofessional in that meeting, which looks very different than a teacher. It's fabulous. Bring your celebrations and bring your ideas, but don't sweat it. Key issues are not going to be your thing when you're attending as an EA. What we're going to do then after that is spend a few hours with these lovely ladies and gentlemen doing a modified CTM. And so I will run a CTM and I'll have some other folks with me, and we will have EAs just for that one afternoon. So we'll have a clarifying conversation that this is your time to bring some of the issues that you have in this one, because it's just EAs to EAs. So very similar to what we do with our principals and our vice principals at admin council, EA to EA with a facilitator there, myself or somebody else. Let's talk about some key issues that you're experiencing in your practice as an educational assistant. So, think of a student, write their name down, but we're not necessarily going to say the student's name, and we'll do it school to school. So you won't necessarily, Eastbrook Elementary EAs won't just be with Eastbrook EAs. You might be with Uplands, Dutchess, Griffin Park, wherever. You'll sitting and kids are kids. Let's talk about this. And we can talk about, I'm having trouble with toileting. I have this kid whose shoes will not go on. Fun. I have one whose shoes won't come off. Who knows, right? So let's just get down into it. And again, it'll be excellent, I feel, for me as a system administrator to also hear these things, to give, I'll give what I can, but they are the expertise in the room. They have the understanding. I've not had the benefit of being an EA. I was a classroom helper in high school at Eastbrook Elementary. That was the 90s. We're not in the same game.
No,
it's not the same game.
No.
And so, they have that expertise, and that will give them the opportunity to mentor each other.
Yes.
Build each other up is my hope. And leave with some great ideas. We can also have, a key issue could be re-entry. So after the labor disruption ends, what's that going to look like for them when they receive back into the classroom, potentially some very dysregulated little people and big people. So that can be another key issue that we can work through there. And, it can go hand in glove with some of the other professional learning that they've been doing on classroom complexity over the last week or so. So hoping that this will all work well, but at the very least, what they're going to have is a better understanding of that common language that we've been using with our certificated staff across the division as an employee group who maybe doesn't always get the same kind of professional learning in some of these things that we're doing. We did a little bit with them about 2 years ago. We did an EA series and collaborative response did come up, but we do have staff changeover. And so that's something that we're learning really does have to be paid close attention to, is that kind of succession planning and onboarding piece.
This is such a unique opportunity that you have in bringing them all together. And the idea of being able to mix up your paraprofessionals from school to school so that they're sitting with a diverse group of people who are working in the same role, but from different buildings and could be working in different situations, but really focusing in on that key issue. So rather than, it's going to surface from what they're thinking about their students, but let's not talk about the students. And especially when we're from school to school, we want to keep those names out of the conversation. But but then being able to talk about here are some common things that happen from school to school, and what one school will do to address or to support that key issue could be very different from another. And this will be
Mhm.
a great opportunity for them to learn so many ideas from each other.
I I can
Yeah.
also imagine that even just the validation of somebody from
Yeah.
Rosemary who
Mhm.
may not have many educational assistant colleagues
Right.
sitting with them at the table to be able to say, "Oh, others are also having this same thing. It's not just me."
Exactly, 100%. And I think also, making the best of not a great situation, we would all rather have the
Yeah,
kids there and our teacher
for
colleagues
sure.
back.
Yeah,
But just time for them to talk about things that they can control
Yeah.
in their context,
yeah,
because um, as an EA, you have a lot of control over very few things
Yeah.
in
yeah.
your position, and that is the nature of being an educational assistant. And so to be able to talk and brainstorm about strategies that you can implement, that you have control over with your colleagues who get it, I'm hoping will be very helpful for them as well, and honor the incredible work that they do
Oh,
every
yeah.
single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It's
can't run without
really,
them.
no, that's right. And it's really empowering, like for them to be involved in that process and to learn from each other. It really sends people into that space of, we can do this. And there's so many different ways to be able to engage in that. I was working recently with a group of inclusive education facilitators. So, one position from every school come together and we work through that idea of key issues with them as well. And
Mhm.
one inclusive education facilitator brought up the key issue, and she kind of did it sheepishly to say, "We have a runner." And he said, okay, so the key issue is that a student will just get up and run and
Bolt.
leave, right? And as soon as we articulated that, then the whole room, everyone had experience, and
Oh, yeah.
it was such a great lesson to learn that, it's not just me,
Yeah.
it's not just me that has this issue, but everyone has experienced it in one way or another. And we came up with some incredible ideas that day.
Mhm. I was
So
just going to say, I'm picturing about three little ones that I had,
Yeah.
and it's mostly the back of them.
Yeah.
So, Katie, you mentioned briefly how you are being really mindful for onboarding
Yeah.
new people because, like you said, 2021, we're in 2025. That's four
Right.
years of learning and work. What happens when someone joins in 2026? How do we ensure
Hmm.
that we can keep the momentum and sustainability, as you mentioned? So, I know that's one part of your onboarding, but your beginning teachers also are an employee group that may have key issues being elicited that they need to be able to voice and surface. So tell us a little bit about the onboarding and beginning teacher or the new staff process within Grasslands. We'll be right back to continue this episode. Leaders, are you looking for the most effective ways to empower your staff and elevate student support? Jigsaw Learning invites you to our free 2025 Collaborative Response Virtual Summit on December 1st. Join us online to learn directly from school and district leaders who are transforming their organizations with collaborative response. Discover how this robust framework can deepen your multi-tiered approach, build collective staff capacity, and ensure success for all learners. You'll gain practical resources, connect with educational leaders globally, and unlock numerous surprises, all at no cost. Mark your calendar for December 1st, 2025. Don't miss this opportunity to strengthen your leadership and build a thriving school culture. Visit jigsawlearning.ca for details and get ready to empower your team. And now back to our conversation.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So this year, I have taken over teacher HR. And so support staff has gone to Nicole, which is great. She is their student support assistant superintendent. So she's doing a great job with those folks now. And so I will work with our teachers. And so we have a new position within Grasslands. One of our principals from Griffin Park School is now a division principal of teaching and learning. And she and I are going to start the process of our new teacher mentorship program, taking a bit of a different focus. So this lovely long-serving principal, Deb Hodges, is a huge supporter of collaborative response.
Deb's amazing.
She's amazing. Yeah. And she also implemented the model at the same time that I was implementing in Dutchess, and she never let it drop. She did not get distracted. So she's the right one to help me with this. And so when we were looking at planning our new teacher mentorship program, we were brainstorming how were we going to get people to understand that collaborative response isn't an add-on in Grasslands. It's the way we do things in Grasslands. And so what we came up with was that we were going to make sure that our new teachers had a good understanding, not only of the model, but also of the collaboration piece of collaborative team meetings, that it's about more than just, I bring my data, I tick a box, I talk about things, my principal sends me an email in a couple of weeks to remind me, I do the thing, I move on. And so we wanted them to understand that Grasslands wants you to be at your best. We want you to be well. We want you to knock it out of the park, because if you're knocking it out of the park, the kids are knocking it out of the park.
Absolutely.
And so, our first meeting, we took them through a lot of videos that we found from Jigsaw. Again, thank you. It's a wealth of resources.
You're welcome.
And thank you. And we were very intentional about when we planned that initial session. And so that was planned in early September. And the reason being that we know that when the schools are planning in their professional learning calendar, our first CTMs typically take place 4 to 6 weeks. And so we wanted to make sure that they had a good introduction to the language, to the expectations. And we had them watch that same video I always watch of Kurtis facilitating with the lovely ladies in the Catholic division. We had them watch that video so that they knew what to expect going into a collaborative team meeting. And we had a meeting planner ready to go for them as well. We ran out of time, but they had it all filled out, because our plan is for the next 5 to 7 mentorship meetings, they will be doing a collaborative team meeting with us, with either Deb or myself as a facilitator. And so again, the idea being they will feel the support from their colleagues.
Yeah.
They will bring their key issues. And then for Deb and I, it's a chance for us to, again, hear what their concerns are and use that information in the way that a teacher would to assess, this is our assessment, basically, what's going on in our classroom with our new teachers, take that data point. Deb and I are also doing teacher evaluations and observations. We can go into the classroom, check it out, see is there a theme for the year? Is assessment what's going off the rails? Is it classroom management that they need help with? Is it AI use? Are we seeing this happen and it's not, benefiting the students as much as it could? What's happening? And then we can come back and we can compare that to what we're hearing from their concerns and their key issues. And we can plan sessions by session to kind of address those issues as well. So it's kind of serving a twofold purpose. It's onboarding people into collaborative response in a really fulsome manner, but it's also allowing us to be responsive in how we address their needs as new employees within Grasslands.
I could also imagine with that, Katie, too, is by working through that process, you may surface a key issue that is being experienced across the board, and you go,
Right.
I know exactly the expert from X school that needs to come in for
100%.
30 minutes to talk to the group next time, because we have the
Yep.
expert right in this system.
Exactly. Exactly. Like we can sit and we can plan based on, previous years' mentorship program. Okay, we know we'll probably need an assessment session. We might need something on, how do we integrate, First Nations, Métis, Inuit points of view, those sort of things. We
Hmm.
know we'll have to do some of that. That's just good practice. But when do you do that? And what
Yeah.
those are huge topics.
Yeah.
What's the best way to do that? And like you're saying, Kurtis, what resources do we already have that we can activate?
Yeah.
And is that really what they want? Is that really what they need? We only have so many data points as senior administrators and division people when you're planning these sort of things. But also we're not a large division, but they are still separated out. And a lot of these people are the only new person in their building.
Yeah.
They have a mentor, but I also was the only new person in my building in the years that I was there. For a long time, I was it. And I was social studies, grade 9 to 12, completely by myself, putting in a new curriculum. And even though I had colleagues, they were 20 minutes down the road. And I did grow up here, but it was still a little bit of a lonely experience.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This will allow them to have their people around them, and they're able to collaborate in a collaborative setting following this meeting structure that just gives them even more confidence to go back to their school and participate with more seasoned staff in a CTM setting as well.
Amazing.
So good.
All
Yeah.
right. So, Katie, as we approach conclusion of this conversation, although we could
Talk
keep
for a
chatting
long
for a
time.
long time,
Yeah.
um, we want to pose out two statements, questions that we typically ask on this podcast. The first is, how would you go about finishing this statement? As a result of collaborative response, we have seen. How would you answer or complete that sentence stem?
I would say as a result of collaborative response, as a result of collaborative response, we have seen a revitalization in our culture and increased collaboration.
Oh, awesome.
Hmm.
That's beautiful. And we hear that often about how, you engage in this work to attend to the needs of students, and there's looking at the data and understanding how we provide that support. But that byproduct is that we become a culture where we are truly supportive of each other
Connected.
and learn
Mhm. Yep.
completely from each other.
And we know that people who feel connected to their colleagues, there's just going to be enhanced
Yeah.
wellness throughout the
Yes.
organization as well.
100%. Yep.
So, Katie, the second question is you might pause for a little bit of thought, but here it goes. In the spirit of if you knew then what you know now, what advice would you give to your past self in relation to the work around collaborative response?
I would say to other Katie, I would say, oh, get ready. This is going to be so good. It's going to be so good. You're going to love it. It's going to be worth all the work. It's going to be worth all the brainstorming, all the big ideas, and just trust the process, because what comes out on the other side is worth every single ounce of worry and just hard work. It's been hard work for every single teacher, every single administrator, and for the board office, but it is definitely worth it. And it'll continue to be hard work, but the best things in life aren't free. So you have to keep pushing. It's easy to just sit back, but that's not the best thing for kids, and that's not the best thing for each other. So it's definitely worth the work.
It's interesting you say that because I often, in overview sessions, when sharing this, I never want to send a false narrative out that this will
Mhm.
make life easier because I don't think that's
Yeah.
true. Like, none of us are afraid of hard work. I
No.
think what we're hesitant to engage in is hard work that doesn't see impact.
Hmm.
Yes.
And I say, you're going to see that you will have much more impact for the efforts that you're putting forward.
Mhm.
We're not saying that you
It's
don't
not
expect
easy
hard
work.
work. It's not easy work,
No.
but you will get so much more out of those efforts when we're doing it through collaboration.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's not always easy to measure.
Yeah.
No.
Some of these things are not calculable, but they're there and they're worth it. And they take time to show up. It's not in year one or year two or even year three or even year four sometimes. It's just okay. But and then all of a sudden you have, this safety net that you didn't even know you were building, I guess would be the way. And then you can start sprinkling in ideas like new teacher, or I call them baby teacher orientation. And I can throw my EAs into a CTM, and that's not actually going to be world shifting, world ending, world rocking. It's not going to take me 12 hours to set that up because I have this skill and I know what I want from it now. 4 years ago, that would have made me go, yes, clutch my pearls. So yeah, it turns into something that's just unbelievably good. It's
Awesome.
worth the effort and the focus.
Beautiful.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for our conversation today. And I'm sure that there's going to be people who listen who will want to chat with you further. So, how could they get a hold of you if they wanted to talk?
Oh, they can please send me an email. I'm just on the website at Grasslands and I will email back, I promise. It might take me a little bit, but I will get there.
All right.
Thank you so
Thanks so
much.
much, Katie. And we look forward to continued engagement and conversations as we continue to move forward. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, anytime. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Every time I finish chatting with Katie, well, actually with any of the Grasslands team, but yeah,
Yeah.
Katie in particular, you just feel lifted.
Yeah.
It just reminds you of why we do this and how many amazing educators and leaders we have out in systems to support students and
Yeah.
families, staff, communities. Katie exemplifies that. So let's break into some key learnings here. I think the big one that comes across has been one that it took you and I some time to figure this out, but it's so crystal clear now that we're not building a model, we're building a
No.
mindset.
Hmm.
And the fact that they've now refined that mindset to be so concise, they can just replicate it in a number of
Oh,
situations.
yeah.
Like for Katie to say, huh, I'm going to use the collaborative team meeting
Yeah.
process with my educational assistants. That makes total sense.
Yeah, and it has been amazing working with them and for them really, like Katie said, this is the way that Grasslands does
Yeah, that's
things.
how we
It's
think.
not it's not something different or added on. And we need to make sure that this group of people need to understand this. But this is actually the way that Grasslands does things, everything that they do. And
Absolutely.
the collaborative team meeting process, especially around the key issue process, has been highly impactful across their whole
Yeah.
division. And they have been able to engage in so many different levels of problem solving, that has led to support for students and support for teachers and support for each other as administrators.
Mhm.
And even at that district level, helping each other to determine what are areas of support that we need to provide for our leaders across our division. It's just been amazing work, and they have done such an incredible job of just making it the system. It
Yeah.
is the way that they do things.
So don't you think that really comes down to the role that the senior admin are
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
in this is it's not this is professional learning that we will put our schools through, but they're right in the mud
oh
with the
yeah,
schools, unpacking, figuring it out, walking alongside, identifying their issues, responding to others. Like they're truly living this this idea of how we it's how we collaboratively respond to what's happening within our schools.
yeah, and so much so that I go and work with their admin teams, and prior to going, planning that session, I'm in contact with the senior leadership team to determine what is the best next steps for your teams, because they're so embedded in the work and that things are changing all the time, that it's not about providing, well, this is just the next thing we do, but it's the what else do you need? What is the next area that you see that your admin teams need or that your schools need? Because they're so in tune with what's happening with every one of their schools.
They also, like, let's just run through the list. So that collaborative team meeting, again, we know it's one layer of collaboration that happens in our school, but it's a really critical layer. And so let's
But
do
I
the
would
count.
want to say though, that they have all the other
Oh, I know
layers
they
of
do.
teams in
Absolutely.
place as well.
Across the system.
Yeah.
But let's think about how they use that key issue process that's central to the collaborative team meeting, how it's getting utilized. So schools are utilizing it to respond to their students, which is great.
Which
That's
is
what we talk about in the book.
Original intended
Original
purpose.
intent. But then they've extended it to say admin meetings.
Yeah.
We bring forward key issues.
Right.
Senior leadership. We bring forward key issues we're seeing for schools to discuss.
And how do we support schools through those key issues?
The instructional team,
Yeah.
which then includes some of their other team members that are out supporting schools. We replicate it there.
Yeah, Nicole has been using it with her like school support teams, the learning support group that is coming together. She uses that key issues process.
Erin
uses the key issue process with her early learning teams.
Yeah, that come together. And now they're building on, we're also going to do it with our educational assistants.
And our beginning teachers. Yeah. Incredible.
Lots. We'll make sure that we link the other Grasslands podcasts, because we've had a chance to talk with other senior leadership. Aaron Norris was another one. We'll put all those episodes in so that you might be able to even look at each or listen in, view each one of them to get a full picture of just how complex the aligned structures and processes have become in that school division. And I intentionally say have become because it's just been continuing to build on.
Yeah. But please reach out to any of them as well, because they are more than willing to share the work that they have been doing and are excited to do that.
So once again, so great to be able to connect with Katie, and we would encourage you to do so. Check out the notes for some contact information and to learn more about the work that's happening. As always, we've got 2 requests. First is join or share our mailing list at jlinsiders.com. We put out weekly content, resources, exclusive videos that we know you're going to find valuable. Second is like, share, review, or subscribe to help ensure someone else who needs to hear this message from Katie is able to access and have that come into their space. Finally, don't hesitate to reach out at questions@Jigsaw Learning. If you have a question, a future topic, a future guest, or if you'd just like to connect, we'd love to hear from you. So as always, we sign off with wishing you all the best as you lead collaborative response in your own organization.
See you soon.
For more on collaborative response, visit jigsawlearning.ca or join the JL Insider to receive access to newly added resources and content. Make sure to follow us on social media. Subscribe to the podcast in the Jigsaw Learning YouTube channel to access past and upcoming episodes. Join us again to continue to build your own capacity in leading collaborative response in your context.